dive into this video about our Revisor's Quest story tracker. Okay, so I have to give a big shout out to my husband who created this for me a couple years ago, and I've kind of like repurposed it, but he is the one that knows how. He's like the Excel guru, and so he really helped me with this. So thank you to my hubby for doing that for me and being so helpful. And next though, I'm going to walk you through some of this stuff and kind of give you a, like I said, walkthrough. All right. So the first thing that you need to know, you should, if you have signed up for Revisor's Quest through the website and you filled out that form and then you said, hey, I'm joining this particular guild, you will have gotten an email that says, that gives you some very guild specific information. And one of those little bits of information that everyone should have gotten, so if you have not gotten this, let me know, is a link to this master tracker here. So as I said, this is the master file. And as you can see here, it says view only. This is locked so that everybody can create their own tracker. Okay. Because if you start trying to edit it, number one, it won't let you do it. But then if you did, then nobody would have a tracker of their own, and they would have to try to figure out how to remove your data, and then you wouldn't have a tracker either. So in any case, so this is the master file, and you will just need to make sure that you create your own, which I am going to show you now. So once you have this file up, notice, of course, I'm pointing this out a lot. This is view only. It will not let you edit it. Okay. Not a cool thing. So you need to have your own. So we're going to go to File and then go over to Make a Copy. And I'm going to name mine Ashley's Revisor's Quest Story Tracker. And it's just going to go into this folder called My Drive, which is like the default. I'm not going to be picky about where it goes, but you can be. You can tell it if you want a specific folder. And then we're going to click Make a Copy, which is pretty easy going so far. Okay. Let me give you a little caveat. If you need an Excel spreadsheet, let me know and I can get you that instead. But I figure Google Docs or Google Sheets will allow you to track anywhere you have internet. So it's a pretty handy little tool. All right. So now, as you can see, it is, this is definitely my file. Notice the difference. Not only is the name different, but this little view only thing went away from the formula area, or from this little toolbar up here. All right. That little toolbar is now filled with stuff that we can, have lots of, spreadsheet fun with. Okay. All right. So there, as I mentioned, in the goal setting portions of each of the guild's videos, you have 3 different ways that you can track your progress. The first one, of course, is word count. There's page count and also chapter count. Now, as you can see in these green goal boxes, those are all pre-filled with just example numbers so that you have an example of what it might look like. You will change it depending on which one you choose for your project. Okay, so don't be afraid to change those. Which brings me to my second point is anything that you see in green is good to go to be color or to be edited. The boxes in blue, especially the ones that have the formulas. I tried to lock these and Google Sheets does not like me. So if you want the lock version, hit me up for the Excel spreadsheet and I will give that to you. But just know, anything in blue, columns that have a blue header, don't touch it because there are formulas in there and you will screw it up. And I don't want you to do that. And, but if you do happen to just, type something in there, and then move on, yeah, you can go back and you can hit undo, and look, it came right back up here. All right. So no worries. It's always fixable. But just know, if you want to save yourself some headaches, only go for the columns in green and this cell over here to type in. Leave everything else alone. Okay. So, let's pretend, we're going to pretend that, I have a novel of about 8,900,000 words. So I'm going to go ahead and enter in my goal. And then I'm going to come over here, and I've already preloaded everybody with a date for June 1st so that you don't have to do that. And then I'm going to go over here to word count. And so the word count, the way that you enter it in is you are going to, at the end of the day, see how many words you have edited and or written, if you've written any. Now, I will say I don't like doing word count for editing. I think the page or the chapter count will suit you better, but in any case, it functions a lot like how you would do for NaNoWriMo's progress tracker, which is it's the total number of words where you're at that point. So let's say, for instance, on the first day, I get to 1,200 words, okay? And I'm just going to hit enter. And then on June 1st, and notice that I have fields populating over here, and I'll just talk about these in a minute. But let's say on June 2nd, and notice that you can type in using June, like the word, and then 2, and it's still going to populate the date for you. Let's say on the 2nd, my new total word count for what I'm working on is going to be 2,700. Okay, that's how many total words I now have. Okay. And I'm going to get a green light over here in the editing session. So for this session, I didn't write 2,700 words. I actually wrote 1,500 words. Okay. But just so know that there's the distinction there. So it's how far you've gotten. It's not like for that session, how many you have written, okay? Which is a lot like how you did it with NaNoWriMo. You just updated your new word count. This is the same thing. You're going to update your new word count or update your new page count or chapter count, okay? And this is going to do the math for you and let you know how many you have per session, all right? These numbers over here in the written words should be the same as your count here at the bottom, okay? So that's one way you can check yourself, okay? You also have words left, so it will do the math for you and like start ticking down until you get to 0 and you're done, which is amazing and fun, and it's great to see. And then of course you have over here your average daily words to goal. This little figure right here is super nifty. It calculates how many days are left in the month and how many words you will need to reach that goal of 89,000 words for this particular example. Okay. All right. So that kind of gives you an idea of how to work this. Now, there is another way you can enter in your date. Oh, wait, let me do the 3rd because it's for the total words for the day. If you try to do it, for multiple sessions in one day, it's gonna freak out on you and not know what you're doing. So it's the total words or total pages or total chapters you've done for the entire day. Okay. And then you hit tab to go over. So you can hit it with, you can enter in a digit format for the month and the date, if you will. All right. Now let's say I only hit 3,000 words on the 3rd. Okay. Now notice that it went to red in this particular instance. Okay. Now, there's conditional formatting in here, which is a fancy Excel term thing, where if you go below 1,500 words, you're going to show up as red because 1,500, I figure for most folks is about where you want to be to reach the goal of editing for the month, to finish in the month of June. And so it's just kind of giving you a heads up like, hey, you're below that threshold. Kind of like, when you're working in the Nano tracker, if you hit below, 1666, it kind of lets you know, hey, look, you didn't quite meet your goal for the day. So for folks who like to see that kind of stuff, that's just a little visual reminder, okay, or indicator of how many words you've done. It's set to 1,500. If you are fancy with the spreadsheets, you can go into the conditional formatting here and change your goals, if you will, but just know that that's in there. Okay. And then you can keep going each day. You just go and enter in your words. So let's say on this next day, I hit, 4,500. Look, I actually hit my goal for that particular day. Okay. And all these little fancy formulas in here are what makes that happen. And look, even my words are going down, which is a nice visual to see. So this kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like for word count. It's going to be very similar for page count. You're just going to go in here. Let's say our goal for page count is actually 350 pages that we have total in our manuscript. And for the first day, I only did 7 pages. Okay, it's going to pop in there. It's not going to tell you how many, like the conditional formatting won't show up until the second day. All right, so we're going to do June 2nd. And then on this day, I only hit 9 pages. So I only got 2 pages done. Okay, that's what that means. So I'm up to page 9. So whatever page number you're on when you're editing is the page number that you're going to put in here. So on June 3rd, let's say I got up to page 15. I had a pretty decent day. I got 6 pages. Okay. Notice that it's still red because I've got it set to about 10, I believe. All right. So on June 4th, let's say I got to page 26. All right. So once you hit the 10 page threshold mark, that is going to start, getting you into, like, hey, you're getting in your groove and you're in the right space to kind of finish on time, if you keep up with, those green days. Okay. All right, let's look really quickly at our chapter. All right, so our chapter count is going to be much the same. All right, so let's say on June, let's say I actually have 35. All right, so I know that's probably some honking 35, chapters. Those are pretty decent size, but it'll give you an idea. Okay, so I'm going to say I got up to chapter 2 in my book, and it's going to tell me how many chapters I had edited and or written. And then I'm going to go ahead and do June 2nd. And for this one, I got up to chapter 4, which is great. Let's say on June 3rd, I only got up to chapter 5. So I've got it set to where in the green and the reds over here, where you, if you do about 2 chapters a day, that will help you get a book of about 50 chapters done, inside of a month. So just know that's what that conditional formatting is for. If you fall below the 2, of course, if you just do like 1, then you're going to see that red box. But that's just, again, this is just a visual reminder to help you know like how many you have left. And notice that it also still keeps track of how many chapters you've worked on, as well as how many you have left. So you get to see those numbers start to move, and as you reach closer to your goal. Okay, and then of course if you keep this up, you're going to have a pretty decent, even if you only do one chapter a day, by this point, you are going to hit your goal if you only have the 35 chapters in your book, because you've only got 30 left. So you're keeping on. Okay. All right. So this is how the story tracker works. It's pretty easy going. And I will say one more thing before I try to close out, because I'm going to forget. If, for instance, you want to keep these little tabs as your originals personally, you can definitely do that. I would just show you can right click on the particular tracker you want to use, duplicate it, and then, well, there we go. rename it to whatever you want it to be. Okay, so if I'm going to put new story, you can put the title of your story, and then look, you'll get your story tracker for your particular story. You can move it around as well. That way you keep all the originals nice and clean, and you can even, I believe, you can even change the color so that you know, hey, look, you can assign a color to this particular tab. That way you don't have to worry about like trying to remember what everything is. Okay, so it's just go to right click, duplicate, and then you just rename it to whatever you like. All right, and you can even move the color. That way you look at these and you know, oh, I don't want to touch those. Those are my originals. And so you go over to color and you can make a nice colorful little looking. Okay, folks, so now that you have an idea of how to work these spreadsheets, let me drill in a little bit deeper and help you kind of see some of the versatility that we have here to help you track your goals. Okay, so when I talk to you guys and when you guys watch the video for goal setting, I give you some ways to, or ideas for different goals that you can set in your particular guild for your particular manuscript. Now, you don't have to go by the goals that I offer you. This is definitely something you can tailor to your own project, which is super groovy. But I want to give you some ideas of how you can use this spreadsheet in order to have a goal. Okay, so what I would suggest is I would go ahead and, of course, like I showed you before, I'm going to duplicate it. And let's say I am, let's see, I'm going to rename this. And I always rename my stuff to be, why is this thing not cooperating? There we go. I always rename it according to the stage that I'm in. All right, so I'm going to say developmental, or I put DE for short. Developmental edit, and this is going to be the read through where I am making the stickies. All right, so if this is my particular, let's say I have the goal of having a read through and I want to try to get the editing plan in place. Okay, so I'm going to say for the read through, I'm going to use a page count so I can keep track of that. But then for creating the editing plan, I'm going to use chapter because most of my scenes follow a chapter format, you know, or of course chapter format, but I mean, like, it's easier for me to, when I'm working on my, moving things around and, you know, being able to, I'm going to track how many chapters I have gotten put into the plan, and I finished the plan for those particular chapters. All right, so I'm going to do developmental edit again, but this time I'm going to say editing plan. Okay, so in this instance, for those of us who are, you know, in the Story Weaver Guild, this is a viable option for you guys. All right, where when I'm going through, for example, and I'm reading through my manuscript and I'm sticking a bunch of sticky notes on there, I can now say, okay, I have 350 pages in here, and I have read for on June 1st, I've gone through and I've marked up, let's say 10 of those pages, okay? And for June 2nd, I have gotten to page 16, okay, etc. And this will help me keep track of this particular part that I'm working on. Okay, so let's pretend that I get all the way down and I've read all the way through the manuscript and it looks like a lovely colorful porcupine. Once I've done that, it's time to start working on my editing plan. And now I'm gonna have a different date. So perhaps I finish that around the 15th of June. I'm going to put that date in there, and then I'm going to say, okay, I have, on the 15th of June, I have completed the editing plan for chapters 1 and 2. So I'm going to keep track of it here, okay? And then for June 16th, I'm going to keep track, I'm going to say I got up to chapter 5 with my editing plan. Okay. So this is one way that you can use multiple, spreadsheets to kind of keep track of 2 different items, or 2 different things that you're working on, or stages that you're in with your particular novel or your particular project. So if you're in the scene crafters, you can do something like, rename your page count one to be more about, although this would probably be best for chapters and as a scene crafter, but you can just rename it to be like scenes by memory. Okay, I can type that sort of thing. So you can have multiple pages, or tabs rather. I think they call these sheets, actually. You can have multiple sheets in order to really drill in to keep track of what you are, where you're at with your goals. Now, let's say, for example, you are you're a wordsmith, and you want to make sure that you have read through sorry, I'm over here trying to rename the wrong thing. So I'm going to duplicate it. Let's say your goal is to not only read through your manuscript and get it all marked up, but you're also going to want to, I'm going to put wordsmith so those of you know what I'm talking about. All right. So if your goal as a wordsmith is to read through it and enter in those changes, and just do your first major wordsmithing editing pass, again, you could do something like over here where you have one sheet for your read through, and then the second sheet is for when you enter it into the computer, and you would just name it accordingly. Okay, so this is a really cool way of making sure that you're keeping track of where you're at. That way you can earn your badges and do your things. We can celebrate with you. That's what we're here for, is to celebrate with you. Okay, so these are just a couple of ideas for you to be able to really tailor this particular tracker to exactly what you want. That way you can have multiple sheets for anything. So it's really versatile. All right. As ever, if you have questions about this, or you're not sure how you should track it, you can contact me, and we can talk some things out, or you can ask your guildmates and see if they have some ideas for how they're going to be tracking it. So yeah, in any case, all right, I'll see you guys in the next video.